Hey, everybody. Hello. So my name is Lakin. I'm the co-founder and CEO of No Code Ops. We are a community of no-code operational professionals. And we also built the first error monitoring and incident response platform for Zapier and Integromat. So been in the no-code space for a while. I'm going to walk you through today a little bit of my journey, how I got to where I am, and also 5 steps that you can use in your day-to-day work of how to find opportunities in your business and literally use no code to either gain new promotions at your company or opportunities at other companies by being business leaders and leveraging no code. So here we go. So 65%, I'm sure you've heard a lot of statistics throughout your whole time here around no code and low code. But one of my favorites is that over the next few years, 65% of applications coming out of enterprises will be done with no code and low code. So huge number, a ton of opportunities. And I'm going to walk you through a bit of how I randomly fell into this world. So this is a company called Get. This is a really based Uber competitor. And I have a bit of a non-traditional background. Before I was in tech, I was actually an actor. So I did everything from Law & Order and Gossip Girl to films that were in Cannes and Tribeca Film Festival. And I was a very mediocre waiter. I never was really good at it. So I made a living on the side of being an actor, doing a lot of guerrilla marketing and promotional work. Stuff like this, like trade shows. And at one point, I got together all of my actor buddies who were unemployed as well and said, hey, we should start a guerrilla marketing and promotional agency. And they said, that sounds great. Money is awesome. And so we got together, started this agency called Your Own Concierge. There's a street team agency. We focused on tech companies, B2C tech companies. And Get was one of our biggest clients. And after some time of working with them, they said, recruiting customers is great, but can we acqui-hire you and your team to recruit drivers for us? Because at the time we were really going head-to-head with Uber and Lyft in New York, and recruiting drivers was really difficult. And so we said, yeah, sure. First acquisition sounds great. And you'll see this guy here is this guy. It's my cousin Ian, actually, who was my co-founder. And so when I talked about him leaving his 6-figure ad job to come start a startup with me, when we got acquired, it was basically insurance that my aunt wouldn't kill me, that I talked my cousin out of leaving his job. And so we started when we started there, they said to me, we want to recruit drivers in the field so they don't have to come into the office. But by the way, we do everything with pen and paper now. And we want you to digitize everything and be able to do it in the field. To which we said, great, we'll figure it out. So we stitched together for Get a combination of Pronto Forms, Google Sheets, Zapier, the TLC in New York's API, and iMacros. And stitching all those together, we literally built a system that you could onboard a rideshare driver in the field while they were waiting for their next ride in the New York airports, so LaGuardia or JFK airports. And so use no code to literally create a process that onboarded over 25,000 drivers. At the time, I still had no clue what no code was. I just thought it was called figuring stuff out when you don't have any technical support. And that's what led me to getting headhunted by this company. I got recruited by Compass, which is a real estate technology company. There we go. So Compass, when I started, was over just around 2,000 agents. They were expanding all across the US. They're now a public company. And I got recruited there to build an onboarding process for the real estate agents across the US using no and low code, because they didn't want to put any more dev resources towards the onboarding process, but knew it was fundamental to the success of real estate agents leaving their past brokerages and coming to Compass. And I'm going to talk more about my story in Compass a little bit later on and how we gained internal adoption around our no-code strategy internally. And so this thing needs no code. Cool. So we're going to talk now about identifying your business's challenges. I'm going to go through all 5 steps of what I use at each company that I was at. And this was a process I kind of fell into and have documented over time for what are your, how to identify your business challenges, how to turn them into promotions, opportunities, and further business success. So first one, identifying your challenges. A lot of times when we start as business leaders at our company, we weren't brought on to do no-code, low-code work. We weren't brought on as IT architects. We were brought on to serve a very specific need of the business. And so gaining leverage on this front really came down to figuring out with management at every level, what were the needs that my management cared about? What were the needs the other employees cared about? And what was something that I could do for 10, 20% of my time? Because no one asked me to bring specifically no low code to any of the things that I did. It was just, we need to figure out how to do this thing. And over time, I used no code and low code for that challenge, whether it was onboarding drivers, onboarding real estate agents, to the point at Compass where I became the no-code, low-code architect for the entire company across national operations. And so there was a role that got created specifically because business needs they saw could get solved with no and low-code. So looking at the department goals and identifying a challenge that you're truly interested in solving. One of the cool parts about creating a role or creating a part of your role that is involved in no and low-code is that you can choose what area that you're passionate about. So for me, I was really passionate about process and about user interfaces. So I got to leverage that and say, wow, I can literally build user interfaces for these drivers as they're onboarding into Get, or for these real estate agents getting text messages at the right time. I was really interested in user narratives and how if you give someone who is onboarding into the company a really good experience digitally, it just immediately installs more trust into them with the company that they're about to interact with. So I was really passionate about that stuff. And I was also passionate about just making things work. And so I combined the goals of the company and what I was passionate about. Next is being curious and experimenting with the right tools. So the cool part about no and low code is that you don't need PRDs to start. You don't need a full year RFP to start the process. You can literally just take dummy data and go and experiment. And you don't need any permission to do that. So for me, when we were just to give you a practical example, when I was at Compass, the steps for onboarding a real estate agent in every territory were all tracked on a Google Sheet. And so the steps were in one column, and then the rows would be titled with the different real estate agents that were onboarding, and then it would get little check boxes, And I think this was before Google really made it easy in Google Sheets to put a checkbox, right? So you can imagine it was a total mess, and everyone was doing it in their own separate way. There was no unification across how people were doing this. People weren't learning from each other because every region had their own Google Sheet. And so for me, no one said, hey, Phil, we want to have a system, like a no-code, low-code system, that just does all this for us. The thing that was brought to me was, we need to figure out a way to unify this and make it better. So what I did was I found out that in the HR world, there were onboarding solutions that were no-code and low-code focused. We ended up using one called Onboarder. And so I got to experiment and play with all these tools because no one was looking over my shoulder saying, hey, we need to find the tools. No, it was literally just me taking demos with Sapling, Rippling, Onboarder, People Docs, right? Just understanding what the capabilities even are, and if I could get access to environments, just start playing around with it and see if it even makes sense for us. So I think a lot of us are like this. I think the best no-coders are the people that loved Legos as a kid. I learn by playing with things. I don't learn by just staring at G2, right? So I, as much as I can, just try to get in and get hands-on as soon as possible. So developing your MVP with a visual proposal. So instead of showing a manager, hey, here's the documentation for how we want to approach this, showing a manager in your business an actual hands-on demo it can literally be magic for them. So this is a story, and I shared about this briefly the other day, but when I was trying to secure funding internally, which hands up if anyone has ever had funding issues securing funds internally, right? Yeah. Really, really difficult, right? So I wanted $250,000 for something that was kind of getting solved with Google Sheets. So what I did was I put together the full workflow in this no-code tool, put together all the responsive images, made really focused on design. And I was able to do that in like about a week. And when it came time to present to this SVP who just got onboarded and was looking for a big win, I said, I had his phone number from the directory and said, cool, let's make pretend, his name is Casper, like, hey Casper, let's make pretend you're an agent and you just started. Can you check your phone? He takes out his phone, he gets a text message from Compass. He opens it, it's a beautiful mobile experience. Picture, video from our CEO, a form that he doesn't have to fill out his name because we already knew that, right? So he puts in some details, it conditionally logic drives him through something. And then the second he's done with the form, he sees my phone go off. That I got a text message now that he's completed the form and that I record a video and then I send it back to him through his phone. And the second he saw that, he goes, done, green light. What do you need? It's unbelievable how we forget sometimes the power of story and play when we're presenting these things to upper management. People really, just like us, want to get hands-on with stuff. So that was a big one for me. Highlighting the cost benefits of your no-code solutions. Not only do we think about this in the budget time, but one thing I always like to tell people about when they're thinking about presenting the cost benefit of your solution is that ROI presentation does not stop once you've gained traction from leadership and once you've gotten buy-in. That needs to keep going because everyone here knows these SaaS contracts are, either year to year, 2 years, 3. You've got to renew these things. And if there's questions about how effective all of this is being at any time, you're now at risk for losing that budget and losing that platform. So one thing that I like to do quite often at Compass was saying, hey, we're going to present on a regular basis the numbers that we're targeting. So for us, it was time savings. So, on average, we saved the average onboarding professional 2 hours per week. So we would demonstrate that numbers. Or we would gather quotes from the agents about their onboarding experience. And we make sure that the people who were managing us and the departments that were responsible for this never went more than a quarter without getting some type of update from us on proactively how things were going and how we were achieving those ROIs that we set out to do. So it never became a question. And now here's, which leads me to my next one, which is keeping in mind implementation, adoption, and upward communication. So some of my favorite stories about adoption and implementation. So when I was at Compass, I was over here doing all of this exploring around all these different platforms for onboarding real estate agents. And I found the one that I fell in love with. I said, man, this thing ticks all the boxes, which was Onboarder for us. And then, I said, hold on. If I just present this platform and say to everybody, this is the platform we're going to use for onboarding. Now, mind you, these people on the ground, 20% of their day, every day was going to be in this platform. There's 150 people across the country, employee-wise. What I didn't want to do is say, this came from the ivory tower of corporate, you just have to use it. So I took a gamble, and the gamble paid off, which was, I said, I'm going to say, let's do this platform, but let's have 3 choices. Let's have Onboarder, and let's go to the field and find out what other systems they're using. One was using a project management tool. One really wanted to rely on an add-on on top of Zendesk. And so I said, for 1 month, one region is going to use my tool, one region is going to use another tool, one region is going to use another tool. And at the end of that 3 months, we're going to do a demo day to the entire organization. I'm not going to be presenting it. The people on the ground who are using the tools are going to be presenting it. And at the end of that demo day, all 150 of you across the country are going to stack rank vote what you want, and then what you want we're going to go with. And you know what? 76% first choice was Onboarder. Top 2 for Onboarder was 94%. Now, my SVP looked at me, he's like, are you nuts? What if they go with a different tool? I said, look, I'm such a believer in this tool that it's going to solve things, that they're going to want it. 2, I know they're going to want it. 2, if I'm wrong, then we probably shouldn't have implemented it in the first place because a tool is only as good as the folks adopting it. And 3, we'll gain the folks' trust on the ground to know that we really listen to them for their input. People don't just like being told what systems to use, especially if they're using them day to day. And so for us, it was the highest eNPS score we ever received as a department, ever, was because everyone felt so included in the process of picking the technology that they were going to be using every single day. That's it for this. To wrap up, look, when you're working at a company and you get to bring these tools in and foster these tools like Creatio into your company and become their champion and actually deliver results, what's phenomenal is that even if your project gets shut down and you don't get funding for it, or even if it has a limited time to it, what's phenomenal is the skills that you learn there can either be used in other parts of your business, or you can literally get a job somewhere who needs that. Like, I never thought in a million years, me just figuring out at Get, this is really based, Uber competitor, I would have never guessed that just because I stitched together Google Sheets and Pronto Forms and Zapier, that would literally be a career path for me, that I would have an in-demand skill of knowing how to talk to the tech team, but not actually needing their support in terms of building and maintenance. This is a really powerful skill to have, I think, at any business. That QR code's more about me if you want to connect on Twitter, LinkedIn, No Code Ops. We send a free newsletter out every Thursday with like a new no-code tool and stories from around the no-code world. I hope you enjoy this.
Phil, thank you, my friend.
Thank you so much. This is awesome. Thanks for having me.